All right, Ez. Well, let's dive into the Maester's study. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about the Fist of the First Men.
Yeah, so I think let's just think about that name for a second. So the Fist of the First Men, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? So it's we get there and it's this hill. It's beyond the wall. It's in the haunted forest, and it's what we know about its history is that it was built by the First Men in the Dawn Age. And there's this bit of kind of like there's a wall kind of around it, and again it's elevated so you can kind of see where perhaps you might be attacked from. So it's got this commanding view and deep slopes, which are kind of dangerous. You got the high ground, right? I mean, so that's cool. That's
Yes,
a good
you do.
thing. But I guess I was thinking about just the name of it, the Fist of the First Men. And I think about often with the Children of the Forest, I think about what's going on here with the others. And I think about the idea that during the Dawn Age, there is this, almost this, it could have been a fortress. I mean, it could have been a lot more. What we see are just the remnants of something that is 10,000 years old. You know, we don't even know like what all was really there. So I guess to me, it makes me think, like, were they like the First Men were this far north? This is like, think of a time before the wall was built. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like what?
Yes.
Right? That time existed, and so you hear Ygritte later talk about them having the same blood as the Starks, and we learned that the Wildlings, claim that being, descendants from the First Men and so on, and that the wall's built right and they end up on the other side of it, or they don't like the way, whether it's the Starks or any of the what would have been all these kings, who were south of the wall, and maybe they don't like, the idea of that, and so they decide to live on the other side of the wall. I'm not really, because you imagine that's not built in one day. You know what I mean?
Right.
That takes some
No,
time, and
no.
it's whatever. So did you have time to migrate south and move, or were there actually strongholds like what we see at this this Fist of the First Men? You know what I mean? Like it's this, or was that just the far out point in like in the early stages of the Dawn Age when they're marching and when we've got war against the children and stuff? Did they have this outpost? Kind of like we think about the Valyrian Freehold, when really Dragonstone is that far western kind of fortress stronghold. It's a point where you've got your people there, but it's not really a part of the actual empire. So it just made me think, like what are your thoughts on I guess what that was, or why that's significant? I mean, it's significant on our story because of what we find there in the attack.
Right. If you pull up the wiki, like the show, you just kind of see it just looks like a mountain. But in the wiki, right, you sometimes get some of the official art. So there's one from like one of the Game of Thrones card games, and it actually looks like a fist. I mean, like an actual like fist sticking up out of the ground if you pull it up on the wiki, and it definitely looks way more like a fortress, which is totally different than what we see in the show, right? It says the Fist is located next to the Milkwater, surrounded by the haunted forest. The hill offers commanding views with the slopes at a dangerous angle to the north and west. Only slightly less dangerous to the east. There is a ring wall of chest-high gray stone that crowns the top of the steep, stony hill. At the foot of the hill, there is a brook, and I mean, it definitely looks way more like a fortress, right? Well, what were they protecting themselves against, right?
Yeah. Do you know what? So my theory, my thought on it is that before the wall is actually built, and as I said, it takes more than a day or so. You might need a few, like if you're still dealing with the others and you're trying to keep them at bay. And again, we find, and we'll get to this at the end of this chapter, we find some dragon glass, arrowheads and daggers and such. Ghost finds them. Let's make that clear. But it's like, okay, so that stuff is here. Now, again, I know it looks like it's freshly put there, which is something we'll talk about later as well. But it just made me think that they had to have had those kind of like outposts where they were securing that area or anything south of it, so that the construction of the wall could take place. Maybe I'm just trying to think more realistically about it versus like snap of
Right.
the fingers, magic wall, up we go, and it's just built. So.
Right.
You know,
I mean,
think
if you look at it, if you pull up a map and look where it is, it's pretty much it's northwest of Craster's Keep, right? It's still in the haunted forest. But as you get towards, then as it kind of goes over to the west is where you get Frostfang, stuff like that. So Hardhome's like way on the other side. Like Hardhome's totally on is kind of far away from it actually.
Yeah.
It actually is closer to. Looks to me like it's like. I mean, if you were to try to come down into Westeros from as you get further out, you go into the land of always winter, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would have to pretty much go through the Fist of the First Men because everything is just mountains.
Yeah.
To the west of it, you'd have to go through. You'd have to go right past the Fist of the First Men.
Yes. Yeah. It seems like it is that
It's almost like the northern Moat Cailin.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean,
The true north Moat Cailin.
Yeah. I get you. Yeah, one of those like a spot in which, and maybe there was way more to it, and there's like, you know, that's why I say it is literally a Dawn Age thing because there could have been more to this, and this is just a remnant that's left over. Because yeah, if you have that and you can kind of see north and you can prep for anything coming down out of that pass, well, all right, awesome. And really interestingly enough, it seems like Mance Rayder has gathered his people over in that mountain region because maybe the others don't go there, or maybe that's further away or more difficult. They don't come that way, or something. There's maybe some reason for that because they seem to be safe. They know they're on the move. They've moved out of their other villages and they've gotten together. But why that area? Why not somewhere else? Is it because they just wanted to amass and then strike south without the Watch knowing, and that was a part of it? Or is it a combination of the two? We're trying to hide from the Watch, get everybody gathered together, and it's also the others that we're worried about there. So I don't know. I just think it's interesting when you think about the Fist and you think about what that means too, like a fist, right? You know, and actually
Right.
this being kind of that the spearhead or whatever of what would have been their force to kind of break. We're going to break them here. This is where we're going to put an end to this. So I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's interesting.